Good morning. Welcome to Studio 365, powered by TableThink. Today is Wednesday, and this is episode 110. And we've been talking about fear.
You know, for being such a, subject.
That's right.
It's kind of fun.
It is. Yeah, it is a fun subject, and I'll tell you something that I was fearful of today.
Okay.
I found and this has only happened probably like 4 times.
In your whole life?
In the life of our 5-year-old dog.
Okay.
He actually, and I say fear because he's such a scaredy cat. Like he is always scared. He's under blankets, and he never really does anything bad. But this morning, my wife found a couple of pieces of like a shredded napkin. And it's like, oh, that's weird because there's just like 3 or 4. And so today I went to check on him before we left because he's really small and he burrows in blankets. I lifted up the blanket and there was the rest of this napkin shredded into like a million pieces. And he never does anything like that. But I just have this vision of like he got that napkin, took it inside his little blanket because he's so scared, and then went nuts in there.
He was stressed out.
Yeah, he was. So he got a little R&R, but yeah, so that was kind of interesting. But he's only done that like very few times in his life.
So every time a napkin disappears,
that's right.
Look for him.
Yep. So
see what's happening.
Yep. But yeah, other than that, he's been good. But yeah, he was a bad boy last night.
You know, it's so interesting because I think we all have some kind of our go-to habits when
right.
we have fear, and they're not always healthy.
Right.
Which I would say shredding a napkin is
true. Yeah, shredding a napkin under a blanket isn't pulling a blanket over your head. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that is true. Yeah, we all kind of, I think we've come up with some coping mechanisms and things that we do so we can survive and get through the time.
Right. So one of the things that we were doing with this series is the fact that fear is kind of on the rise right now, and with all the media things, and there's so many different, whether it's natural disasters or man-made or whatever. And so we keep kind of putting this in front of everyone of why we're doing this.
Right.
But at the end of the day, fear has been throughout the ages.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. And so we've been also talking about putting a go-to list of the God words that will help to encourage not only yourself, but those that you'll be helping along the way if there's a crisis or an emergency or some kind of thing, that we're prepared spiritually as well as everything else. And so this is kind of a wordy one, not that I don't always love a wordy scripture, but it's the Amplified sometimes has extra words. And so I'm going to read Hebrews 13:5, which says this: I will not in any degree leave you helpless or forsake you or let you down, relax my hold on you, assuredly not. And what this really does is that it says, this is what God is saying, is that you don't have to worry about this part. I'm not gonna leave you. I'm not gonna let you down. I am with you always. And this scripture really is an anchor for those of us that at times are held hostage by circumstances. Those things that just grab our attention, those things that kind of become the tagline of the day. What God is saying is, I'm always there. I'm always with you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to let you down.
Right.
And so when we're going through these preparedness series of really being able to manage fear, that is one of the key elements. And I know you have some practical tips that you've been giving us. And so what is it for today? Yeah,
so today it's about thinking what would happen if you were wherever you are, not just for a few hours, but maybe you had to be there for days, 2 or 3 days without contact, without other people to help you or kind of all the systems we depend on. And so when I think about this, I think about this in a couple of places. And one, we've talked about having kits and things like that, and having something in your car, because that is a place that people get stuck.
Right.
It could be weather related. It could be, there's been several cases where we live where people will kind of drive on roads over the mountains thinking, oh, we're trying to get somewhere, and it's at night, and they end up down some kind of logging trail,
right?
And they're totally lost. And so basically thinking through, do you have everything that you would need to survive for several days there. And when you do have a situation, especially like that, where you're lost with your car and you do have some of that base, one of the important things to remember is to stay there. Go ahead.
And I think that's easy to think, okay, I'll just get on foot
right,
and try to find my way. So that's a good point.
Yeah, but especially if you know that there's going to be, people trying to find you and help you, you need to stay put so that they can find you. And then you need to have those items there so that you can do that, so that you can be there for someone to come rescue. And then the other place is at home. And you think, well, you live at home, so you would have everything you need, but you would be surprised. Some people don't even have something to start a fire, because we're so used to electricity and ordering pizza and that kind of thing. But have you really thought through, if we didn't have electricity or something, could I cook?
Right.
Do you, some people have electric furnaces or electric stoves. So do you have some way that you could start a fire, that you could cook? Do you really have ample water supply? And that's that's a big thing. So obviously we need kits that we can grab and go, and those are going to have some water in them. But at your home, I would put cases and cases of
in
water.
our area of the world, we've had a little bit of problem with that lately.
We've had some water problems.
Yes.
And when something just as simple as the government says, hey, the water, you can't drink it or whatever, something's in it, it's mass chaos at the stores because no one has thought of this ahead of time. But you really should, have a big supply of water. So that's really kind of my encouragement today, is to think about places that you're at. And if you had to stay there for days, if you were stuck for days and you didn't have electricity and you didn't have access to the outside world, what would you need? And if you don't have one of those things, then just go get it and have it.
That's such great advice, and we are so used to not having to worry about those things, and yet we shouldn't worry about those things by being prepared, and to remember again that it first begins with being aware that the presence of God will never leave us.
Right.
So Joshua and friends, I will talk to you tomorrow in Studio 365.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Studio 365. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. Make sure to tell friends and family and other people about Studio 365. You can send them to our website, studio365daily.com, or to iTunes or the Podbean app or Google Play, and just search for Studio 365. And we will see you right back here tomorrow for another episode of Studio 365.